I'm so disappointed because I just don't think I can do this anymore. But I feel like it's gonna be a journey, and at the end of the road, it's gonna be great. I'm 35 years old and I was just diagnosed with ADHD. So come with me on the start of my latest health journey because I think this one is gonna change my life. Hello everyone, welcome to my vlog. If you caught my video a few weeks ago, I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, and it finally feels like all of the tiny little pieces of my mental health journey are finally coming together. But before I get into the vlog, definitely check out my disclaimer. This is not medical advice. This is just my journey. If you suspect that you have ADHD, please speak to your healthcare provider. And if you do have ADHD, also speak to your healthcare provider. Everyone's experience, especially around medication, is going to be unique. Also a heads up that I will be talking about drug dependency and stimulants, so please skip this video if that is triggering to you. Okay, hold up for a second. I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Element. So I'm really honored to be working with Element because this is a product that I was using years ago when I was on my breastfeeding saga, and it really helped me recover. I ended up getting back into it when I spent a few months down south this year because I just have a really bad tendency to get heat stroke or get super dehydrated in the sun. So this really saved me. A lot of my colleagues who work in sports nutrition also swear by Element specifically because it has a science-backed electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams magnesium, and it has no colors, sugar, or fillers. I've also found that having my electrolytes in the morning has also had a huge impact on my sleep. So even on days that I'm not sweating a lot, I'll usually still have at least half a packet. I love all things spicy, so the mango chili is my current obsession, but they have 9 different flavors, including their new grapefruit, which I also really love. Right now, Element is offering my viewers a free sample pack with any order. So that is 8 single serving packets for free with any Element order. And this is a really great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. So you can get yours at drinkelement.com/Abbey Sharp. And this deal is only available through my link. So you got to go to drinklmnt.com/Abbey Sharp. So good. All right, kids, I'll catch you on the other side. I said I wasn't gonna medicate. Like I told myself that getting this diagnosis was just gonna be like a good to know, like a validation basically of everything that I've gone through all of my life up till now. And it has been, it's been so validating. But I just came to this realization of how beneficial, like how life-changing medicating for my anxiety and my insomnia has been. Like my biggest regret at this point in life is that I didn't do it earlier. And so I guess I'm just curious what medicating for ADHD will do for my life. What doors could this open for me? So I'm gonna take the plunge. Wish me luck. All right, it is day 2 on Vyvanse. I woke up with like a little bit of a head cold, which is like, why? It is summer, why am I getting sick? But let me tell you where I'm at. So basically, I can see why people love this stuff because I am in the best mood despite feeling kind of I don't think I've ever felt this level of mental calmness and energy at the same time. It's a very strange juxtaposition, but I love it. That said, I am tragically constipated. And normally when I'm constipated, it is like the end of the world. I am so cranky. I'm so irritable. I'm so triggered because of my history with SIBO and, you know, the fact that I have come so far on my IBS and just like healing my gut and supporting my gut, and I'm in a really good place normally. So when I do feel like I'm off my usual bathroom routine, I am an anxious wreck. But today, somehow I feel just like more nonchalant about it. I'm at peace with the fact that I can't poop. But yeah, I might feel a lot crankier later when I kind of come down from this high and also when I get a little bit more bloated and uncomfortable. But for now, I'm gonna channel this energy and take myself for a little walksy. All right, it is day 5 of me taking Vyvanse, and I've got a lot of thoughts and a lot of updates. So first of all, I really love how it makes me feel some of the times in some ways. Like when I first wake up in the morning, I have so much energy. I'm in such a good mood. Like I love my kids. I love my husband. The whole day is going to be an amazing day. Like I'm vibing with myself.
Bitch, you doing a good job. Bitch, you doing a good job.
And I've really haven't felt like that in a really long time / ever. Normally I move through the morning in such a chaotic, frantic way. Like I'll make the kids breakfast and I just can't bring myself to like put it away. It just feels like there's just too much going on. I just remember doing a vlog one time where somebody made a comment like, it's so messy, you're so chaotic, everything's a mess. And I'm like, yeah, it is messy. Like the way I think is messy. Wow, this is a weird look, but I let my hair air dry today, which I never do, so that was mistake number 1. Like, I normally feel like a little bit of a tornado just moving through the day, and now I feel like I can actually make the kids breakfast and put things away and tidy up and manage them and interact with them and be in a good mood and not be cranky, etc. Also, I was reading my son a book on the Titanic this morning, which is this is a book that I've read maybe 3 or 4 times in the past 2 weeks. So this is not like a new book for me. And for the first time, I found myself as I'm reading this being like, oh, I didn't know that that's what happened. Oh, that's, who took the call. Oh, that's how it first smashed into the iceberg, etc. Like I was actually learning what happened for the first time, even though I had read the story a million times before. So it's not that I just like had short-term memory loss and I blanked out. It was that all the times before that I read this book, I was just seeing the words and regurgitating them, but not actually obtaining any knowledge. This was the first time that I actually obtained knowledge from what I've read. How have I managed to be so successful? How was I such a great student? Like, I graduated literally top of the class of all time. Like, I just realized how much mental energy I've spent over the past 35 years just to obtain enough knowledge in order for me to have the success that I've had. And it has like shook me to my core that had I come to this realization or being diagnosed 10 to 20 years ago, how much further could I have gone? Because I feel like I've done a lot in 35 years and I'm really smart, but had I been able to concentrate better when I was in school, when I was in internship, when I was learning to become a dietitian, I would have been able to become smart without it almost killing me, because that is what school and education did to me. It drove me into the ground. So that's good. Another unusual perk that I'm experiencing is that I'm not remembering my dreams, which might seem like not a good thing for you guys who like dreaming, but my dreams are so intense and vivid and often really terrifying.
Who are you?
And I dream many of them that I often say to my therapist that I feel like I live a whole other life at night. And if you can imagine when you're supposed to be resting at night, living a whole other life with people who may or may not be in your real life, it is exhausting. And I wake up every morning very exhausted and not rested, even though I may sleep 8 hours. And the past few days, I've woken up and I've not remembered my dreams, or I've remembered it so vaguely that it is not significant. It's not weighing on me. I'm not thinking about it all day long. I think about my dreams normally until I go to bed that night again, and it starts all over again. So it's like I work really hard in the day and then I work really hard at night. And I feel like maybe my brain is relaxing finally enough that I can rest when it's time to go to bed. So that is life-changing in itself. So yeah, that was the good, but there's bad as well. There are things that I do not like about this, so far at least. One, the constipation. I was not warned about the constipation. The other thing that I feel a little uneasy about is just my fear of dependence, because, I was taking between 20 and 30 milligrams, and yesterday I took just 10 milligrams because it was a day off. And my goal here was to be able to take the medication during the weekdays when I need to feel concentrated and get my work done, and then the weekends not take it, because that's what a lot of my friends and colleagues who take ADHD medications are able to do. But I even took 10 milligrams yesterday to try to hopefully get my digestion back on track. And I have to be honest, I felt fully depressed. I felt like I was walking through mud all day, super sluggish, just not like myself. So that to me is really concerning. I don't like the way that feels. I would rather feel no high at all than to feel like in a dark, dark place when I don't take the medication. And this has only been 5 days, so I am legitimately concerned about that. But I'm gonna go eat my kiwis now, and I will check back in with you guys later. Okay, so I spoke to my dietitian, Caitlin Self, she's amazing, I'll leave her contact below, about my symptoms. And one of the interesting things that she said is that in her experience, one of the main reasons for constipation with the folks that she sees on Vyvanse is because they're not eating enough. Because a lot of ADHD medications, these stimulants, they can suppress appetite. And when we're not eating enough, it can slow down our gut motility. And I already know this, I've talked about this ad nauseum in relation to why we see more functional gut disorders when it comes to eating disorders. Interestingly, I haven't noticed any impact on my appetite yet, though obviously I'm taking a very low dose still, so that might happen. So I don't think that I'm under eating, and if anything, I probably am eating more than normal because I'm kind of like throwing all my, my anti-constipation foods at me. So I'm bulking up on a lot of high fiber foods, lots of nuts and avocados and lots of fruit and whole grains and things like that. So I'm kind of thinking more about adding more foods to my diet right now than I am about taking them away, even if I'm not particularly hungry. So I don't think that's my issue. But if you do find that you've lost your appetite as a result of taking a stimulant, which is very common, here are some really quick tips in terms of making sure that you're meeting your nutrient needs. Number one, set a meal and snack schedule. So this is really important for kids, but also very important for adults. So if that means you need to put an alarm on to remind yourself to eat, even though you may not have those hunger cues, really super important, because as you get used to the schedule, your body will adapt and it'll start to anticipate that fuel coming, and you'll start to get those hunger cues back. Number two, small frequent meals around every 3 or 4 hours. And this is also really important for nausea, which is something that I feel I'm getting like a little bit of nausea, but it's not extreme or debilitating in any way. But for some people, it definitely can be. So small frequent meals, really key, as opposed to having like intermittent fasting and then having a big meal. Not recommended when you've got low appetite. And then finally, we want to focus on low volume, high calorie meals and snacks. So, things like, oh, Poppy, I gotta go get her, one sec. So yeah, focus on those higher calorie foods that are lower in volume. So as opposed to having like a really big low calorie salad, I want you to think about peanut butter toast and, protein smoothies with nut butter in there and trail mix and things like that that are going to be able to eat very easily without a lot of volume. Also, a lot of people find that their appetite is a lot better in the evening as opposed to the morning. We've discovered that she gets freaked out when I'm like talking to a camera because she's like, who is she talking? Who is she talking to? She's like, she thinks I'm yelling at someone, having an imaginary conversation. So that's why she's always barking at me, right? It's not because you want to eat, though that's also a possibility. But anyways, a lot of people find that their appetite's better in the evening. So definitely try to capitalize on that by having a large dinner and a bedtime snack. Get that bedtime snack in there. I want to show you what I'm making. So let's see. So I'm going to make myself a little poo promoting snack here, a little smoothie. This is something that Caitlin recommended, and I was like, this is a great little combination. So let me show you what I'm going to do. See, when I don't have my team here, things are not always so well produced. I got celery juice. You guys know how I feel about that. And you know how I always say that if celery juice detoxes you, it's because it's got so many FODMAPs in it that it helps to get things moving. It's coming out of me like lava! We're gonna do some celery juice. Never something that I would wanna consume on its own. So kiwi, we know, has lots of research to suggest that it can help with constipation and bloating. This is a massive kiwi, so I'm only gonna use one, but usually the clinical dose is 2, but this is a honker. I've got some pear here that I cut up yesterday. A little honk of cucumber. This is the ground, so it doesn't get as gelatinous. I'm not even gonna peel it. I'm just gonna throw it in like that. All right, let's see how this goes. Oh! Okay guys, you got the picture. I blended it up. This is what it looks like. It's not pretty, but let's have a taste. That is good. I never think to put kiwi in a smoothie, but it works. It's so like tangy and zingy. It really works with the ginger. I definitely can get on board with this. And I like that it's not gloopy like chia pudding. All right, I'm gonna go down this and hope that it gets things moving. And since we're on the topic of food, I figured I would hop in here really quickly to briefly talk about foods to focus on and what to avoid when it comes to ADHD. So this is definitely an area of research that's still evolving, so take some of this with a grain of salt, but it is worth experimenting to see what works best for you. So the big ones we typically hear about are reducing artificial food dyes and excess sugar. I'm generally pretty cautious about food dyes in our house since I noticed when I was a little girl that I was kind of sensitive to them. They actually give me a bit of a rash. So I've just personally always avoided buying things with food dyes outside of like special occasions like birthday cakes and things like that. Otherwise, I don't usually serve them to myself or to my kids. But there is some evidence that food dyes can exacerbate symptoms in folks with ADHD. There's also some evidence to support reducing some preservatives like sodium benzoate, which is usually found in things like soda, store-bought sauces, condiments, things like that, plus nitrates, which you typically find in things like bacon and deli meats. But honestly, I don't think we need to obsess over every single packaged food that we eat. I think if we just focus on limiting highly processed foods, which I generally do, we can typically reduce the risk. Also, on the topic of highly processed meats, one review did find that a diet high in saturated fat may also increase the risk of ADHD. So mainly that means animal fats like high fat dairy, high fat meat, etc. Personally, I don't really eat a lot of red meat, and the dairy that I choose is fermented dairy like yogurt, cottage cheese, and that's only like 5% fat. So those are things that are not typically a concern for me. And then there's sugar. So whether or not sugar causes hyperactivity is like super controversial, but one review found that it may increase the risk in kids with ADHD, even though the evidence is weak at best. Interestingly, one of the common symptoms of ADHD is like sugar cravings or sugar addiction, basically because we need a bigger dopamine hit to feel the effect of those pleasurable things. I actually used to describe myself as having a really severe sweet tooth, but now I think that intuitive eating and food freedom has really suppressed that, or maybe it's just like age. But yeah, I don't personally feel like I want to eat all the sweets anymore. You'll also see that there's a lot of talk online about avoiding artificial sweeteners if you have ADHD, though there really isn't any good evidence to support that at this time. I would say that if you are sensitive to them, I feel like it's an easy thing to remove. Personally, I already avoid things like Splenda and aspartame and other artificial sweeteners, mainly because they're not great on my gut and I tend to get headaches from them and I just don't like the flavor of them. So I may personally be sensitive, but I'm already cognizant of that and have basically removed them from my diet. So those are the things that you'll read most often about reducing in the diet. When it comes to a protective effect, we know that a diet rich in fruits and vegetables seems to be the best bet. Surprise, surprise. So like, this is not rocket science, folks.
It doesn't take rocket appliances.
Eat fruits and vegetables, avoid highly processed foods and additives, focus on higher fiber carbs over the really higher sugar ones, and choose more unsaturated fats over saturated. I'm doing all of those things and have been for years, so yeah. Nothing really to see here, folks. Another thing we can talk about though is the commonly recommended supplements for ADHD. So this is my supplement bin. I don't take all of these or all at once, but I do have them all in hand for different times of my life. So the first one that's often recommended for ADHD is iron, because some research does show that iron supplementations can improve ADHD symptoms, though obviously you'd want to do blood work first to determine if this would be helpful for you. My iron levels have always been really good, so I don't need iron at this time at least. Zinc is another one, and this is one that I do personally take every day. And this is because it can help regulate the normal pathways of chemical messengers in the brain. So that's another one to maybe look for in your blood work. Next is omega-3s, which I already take. We have evidence that supplementing with omega-3s may help to improve symptoms, since omega-3s help to reduce oxidative stress and improves that chemical messenger transmission in the brain. Also, vitamin D, and this is one that I recommend most people take because half of us are already vitamin D deficient, and we specifically have evidence that it can help with ADHD symptoms. And then magnesium, which, here she is. This is one of my favorite supplements that I take personally. Apparently people who have ADHD tend to have lower magnesium in the body than those who don't have ADHD. So supplementation can help ADHD symptoms, and it can also help with insomnia and anxiety, which tend to coexist in folks with ADHD. So I'm gonna finish chopping up some fruit for lunch, and then I'm gonna fill in my pill packs for the week, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. I'm so disappointed because I just don't think I can do this anymore. I'm on such a low dose, and yet the crash by the end of the day is so unbearable. Like last night I was running a bath for my kids and I was trying to say the word cold, but instead I said black, down, and moon. Like I can't even form a sentence. I was talking to my doctor and I couldn't even form a sentence. So like my brain is obviously not working very well when I come down off this thing. And like my gut is telling me that this is not good for me, that this is like a slippery slope for me, that this might be doing more harm than good. But my rational mind is saying, you know, you gotta try this out. You gotta see it through. This is a process. Every, you know, psych drug is always a process, and it's never a fun process, right? These journeys suck. And they especially suck and feel especially hard at the end of the day when I'm like at a low. I don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling depressed, which is kind of where I am right now. But I'm just trying to take this one day at a time. Okay, I have to end this video on a positive note. I cannot leave you guys hanging here, but I have a plan and I feel really good about it. So basically I did a quick little switcheroo to Vyvanse instead of the Vyvanse. It's a different class of ADHD medication. And I definitely found it was a lot better in the sense that I wasn't getting as extreme highs and lows. And I also didn't find that it was causing me to be as constipated. So that was a huge plus. That said, you know, I still didn't feel 100% like myself. And I do think that that just is a matter of, you know, me kind of recalibrating and taking time. But I basically only took 2 doses of it. And my husband just let me know that he's going on a little trip for 4 days. So I'm gonna be alone with the kids for a few nights. And honestly, I just don't feel comfortable with that, knowing that this drug is still making me feel a little bit dizzy. I'm not feeling like 100% myself. I'm sleeping better, which means I may or may not wake up if the kids are screaming for me or if they need me. I'm not sure I'm able to drive them somewhere in the middle of the night if we have an emergency, etc. So for that reason, I just decided, okay, I'm gonna take a pause on this. And unfortunately, because my husband, as soon as he gets home, we're going straight to the UK, which is also not a great time to start a new medication from scratch, considering all the different variables. I thought, all right, we know that this is possibly going to change my life, but I have to wait. I have to wait for it to change my life because I've got too many other variables going on that is not my normal routine. So I'm gonna pick this whole journey up again when I get back from all of my holidays in the fall. And I think that that's just a better move. That way I can kind of utilize its benefits when I need them most, as opposed to when I'm on holidays just chilling out with my kids. So yeah, I'm feeling really good about this plan. I know I've had a little taste. I like the taste, even though there's some spicy bits in there, but I feel like it's gonna be a journey, and at the end of the road, it's gonna be great. Signing off. Well, kids, another stage, another struggle. But I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. I will definitely keep you updated on the next phase of my journey. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. If you have specific questions about my journey or about ADHD in general, definitely leave me a comment below and I will try to get to them in an upcoming video. Subscribe to this channel and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye.